Moving on to item number 3, discuss and consider approval of a replat of 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street into a single lot for the purpose of commercial development. And I'll defer to Kyle at this point on this one.
Ray, you were talking about this. You got the information.
What we have is Mr. James Tiggs here this evening. Hopefully
He's here.
He is. And we're going to have him come to the podium and speak and answer any questions
Okay.
you guys might have on what their plans for this property are.
Thank you, James.
And just for the council's information, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this request on September 22nd.
Okay. As a result of an inquiry by an entity within the community, the property owners, Cheney West Cheney, whom I represent, are requesting that these properties be joined together to allow construction of a large commercial building, which will most likely be leased to to provide health services. What it does is it basically connects Glenwood and Lakeview streets through a drive. And what the building that we were talking about building would be an L, which would start on Glenwood Street, go backwards towards Lakewood, and then make the L downward towards Bernard Street. And if I can, I'll just step up here and show you. It'd be set back away from the street a little ways and go down that way and then over this way. So it'd be an inverted L. And the Glen Rose Medical Center approached these property owners and asked them if they would consider constructing this type of building in order to consider possibly leasing it to them for the purpose of physician space, physical therapy, and perhaps senior care.
Questions of the council? Okay. This was approved by the P&Z 2 weeks ago. Any questions of council? Okay. I will go to the audience at this time. I'm sorry.
I've got one.
Okay, Councilman Jones has a question.
Somewhere a little house up there isn't historic and somebody's gonna yell at us. Is that gonna be demolished or that?
It's going to be moved. We're looking to get it moved. There is actually, it's one of my employees at the pharmacy is going to move it and renovate it. And
Which
Not,
the shell, the one on the end?
no, this is the one on Glenwood Street.
Oh, yeah.
is it
Little
historic?
gray house.
Like any means or anything like that?
I have been told it's not.
Okay.
No.
That's the property of Will Adams' brother, George Adams, originally.
The one on Glenwood
Back in the
Street,
day, over there.
or Aiken, the Aiken place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any questions of council? Anyone else? Thank you, James. I'll go to the audience at this time. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to comment on the replatting of 405, 407, 409 Lakeview Streets and 406 Glenwood Street and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street? Anyone like to comment? Okay, coming back to council at this time, I would be looking to entertain some motion on item number 3 about the approval of a replat of 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street into a single lot for the purpose of commercial development.
I so move.
I have a motion from Councilman Ramsey to approve the replat of 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street into a single lot for the purpose of commercial development. Is there a second? Have a second from Councilman Jones. All those in favor? Any opposed? Let the record show that it's 4-0 in favor of approval of a replat of 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street into a single lot for the purpose of commercial development. Moving on to item number 4, we'll now open a public hearing to consider a request for a rezoning change from a B2 and an R1 district to a B2 general commercial district for property located at 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street. So at this time, there's anyone in the public who would like to come and comment on the rezoning of the same said property that we just discussed. Any discussion from council? Okay. At this time, I would be looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Have a motion from Councilman Ramsey to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have a second from Councilman Bryant to close the public hearing. Those in favor of closing the public hearing on item number 4?
Aye.
Any opposed? You did vote, sir.
Come forward.
Okay, let the record show that is 4-0 in favor of closing the public hearing on item number 4, on the rezoning change from a B2 and R1 district to a B2 general commercial district for property located at 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street. Moving on to item number 5. I'm sorry.
We gotta vote on it.
Yeah, excuse me. And at this time, I would be entertaining a motion to approve the rezoning change from B2 in R1 district to a B2 general commercial district for property located at 405, 407, and 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street. I have a motion from Councilman Martin. I have a second from Councilman Jones. Those in favor of the rezoning?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that it's 4-0 in favor of the rezoning change from a B2 and R1 district to a B2 general commercial district for property located at 405, 407, 409 Lakeview Street, 406 Glenwood Street, and a portion of 408 Glenwood Street. I keep repeating this because people have to listen to the record, and they need to understand the decisions that we made. Moving on to item number 5, discuss and consider approval of a replat of property from 1 lot into 2 lots at 102 Bridget Lane. And I'll turn to Ray at this time to give the particulars.
This property was, we have in our midst right now Marilyn Phillips, who's the owner's representative. The property is owned by Lana Kim West. And Marilyn Phillips, if you come to the podium, please, and explain to the council what's going on and answer any questions.
Yes, sir. Marilyn Phillips, residence 5832 FM 56 South, Glen, here to represent Kim West at 102 Bridget Lane. I was here, I think on the 22nd with PNC, and they approved for us to move forward. So that's why we're back here tonight. She had a lot that was, I believe, 140 with 200 in debt. Since the death of her husband, she's had a hard time keeping up with the cleanup and to keep up with the lot. At the same time, it's land not being used, generating taxes, so it would benefit her to sell some of the property. I then came to meet with Mr. Moody, and David kidnapped him one day in my car and took him over there and said, I want you to see what we're looking at. So I make sure that I follow all the protocol, and he was very good to keep me informed of everything. Mr. McCain did the same. So what we were asking to do is to allow her to replat that 1 lot and make it basically 2, and we're able to get out 60 width by 200 depth, and I think the actual requirement is a 60 by 100, so we were able to increase that, and that's what we're asking for tonight.
Okay. Are there questions of the council on this item?
Yeah, I do. I got a
Councilman
question.
Martin?
I guess everybody got the deal that Ray made with a picture in front of it. If we cut off 60 foot of that, we're cutting off the biggest part of the driveway entry to the existing house there now. The present ordinance for the city of Glen Road, you gotta have a parking for two vehicles off the street. I know this is an older home, and I think it looks like it's got a one, I don't know if it's a 1 car or 2 car carport. Can't tell looking at the picture. But at least there is access for 2 cars to on that driveway to get off the street. When you take away 11 feet of that driveway opening, you only leave 8 feet. And to me, we're kind of going against our own ordinance by letting 60 feet be removed from this lot, because you're not gonna be able to, I don't even know if you get 8 feet, it's gonna be tough just to even get one car out of the street.
We talked about that very thing. In fact, they drove cars in and out while we were there that day, because it was my question, what are you gonna do, how are you gonna use your carport? Obviously, the only way they can do is to leave that open. And there is another drive off over to the side from that other lot, if one wanted to use it, and leave this as a shared drive, if it would just have to be. With the setback lines being as far as they are, there can't be any fence or anything built over in that area anyway. But the intent, let me put it that way, the intent is to leave that open and to allow them to continue to park there, knowing not to park in the street.
Councilman?
Yeah, I'd like to reply to that. Why is it that you can't, why is it not able, I mean, when you sell at 60 feet, you don't know what that new owner, it's their property, it's their land. If they want to put a fence up there, come down to where that stake is, that we're looking at that red line, what's to prevent them from doing that? I don't
Your
know.
city ordinances prevent that.
The what would?
Your city ordinances prevent that, as I understand it. They can't do anything with what, is it 25 feet?
Not for fences, for structures, they have the setback, there are no setbacks.
There
for
are no,
fences.
okay, then I've been misinformed, because I was informed that there was nothing that could go there, not even a fence, because we talked about that very thing. If that would pose a problem, or what could be done.
Can you sell this with an easement?
That's possible. What the full intent was in the beginning, we would have been short 60 feet if we had come about right here. I think we were gonna be like at 46 feet or so, 43 feet maybe, and then L shape, go back, and then pick up if the city would have allowed that. That would have just been an offset here, L shape, and then go back, and it would still been 200 depth, but it wouldn't have, your 60 feet wouldn't have come into play till about 15 feet into the property if that would have been allowed. That was another alternative.
Councilman Ramsey, a question?
Yes, I'm not good at looking at maps, I have to be visual, so I had to drive the property and drive down through the alley. And, based on the carport now, there's not cars going up in there, but that is a narrow 8 feet to turn in to go into that carport. I'm not saying you can't go into the 8 feet, but that's a sharp,
That was
if
really
they
not
decide.
even an intent on our part. That was total, I'm just going to say that was total misinformation or misunderstanding.
Right.
Because in the beginning, I advised you can't do that because you've got to have your carport. Let's go back to see if we can get approved to go to the 45 feet, back 15, then the 60, and give you total use of your carport. So I'm hearing some of this is the first time as you are, so I'm having to say I don't have a good answer for that. Because the last thing that we wanted to do was cut her off her carport. We made that very plain in speaking that day of not to do that.
And my question, that's what my question was, just to know if the actual orange ribbon stake was blown into the center of the driveway, or if it was going to be to the left. But since we've gotten this new picture, it's where it was on the concrete.
But I was certainly under the understanding that nothing, not even a fence, could go up, that hers is only there because it's grandfathered in, and that it would not fit the guidelines any longer if the new property owner was going to go in and build a fence, that they couldn't. So that puts a whole different light on it as far as we're concerned.